Hey there, my name is Brando, and I will be teaching you how to do the 4 basics of life drawing today. The basic building blocks to a figure start with gesture. This one line that represents the form that you're trying to draw, whether you're doing it from imagination like I am here, or whether you have a reference, whether that's a life model or a photograph, you're going to be using this one line to represent how that figure is placed in space. So think about from the fingertips all the way through to the toes, the top of the form all the way to the bottom. The building blocks of a human are the skull, the rib cage, and the pelvis. And the way that we're going to represent those on the page are with some simple spheres. So we have a head up here, we have a rib cage right in here, and then we have a pelvis right in here. And what these are going to do is help you understand which way this is turning, where this form is being represented, and how we're going to get to the next step. You don't have to be super precise with these lines. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to go over your lines multiple times and keep that eraser nearby, because if you don't like it, you can always erase it and start again. A lot of people will get stuck here because they don't understand how to make it look more real. So the next step that we're going to go with is thinking about the weight of this figure. The leg out here does not have any weight on it, so what we're going to do is think about how this form has weight. And this is about where the supporting leg would be. And so this is going to help your form look more realistic. So if you can, in your head, imagine what that pose would be supported by. In my sculpture here, as an example, the supporting leg is on the left, and you can see that by the way the weight is on the left side, the right leg is out straight. The next thing I want to talk about is your mark making. Mark making is where you take your medium, your material, and you use it in different ways to create different strokes. So basically what we've started with was gesture. Then we talked a little bit about form, which are the shapes, like the head, the rib cage, and the pelvis. The next thing we talked about is mark making, which is just going to be a part of your whole process. But when you're drawing the form, the figure, the thing that we want to talk about next is structure. The way that structure comes into play here is these shapes, these forms, don't exactly have a structure. So we want to think about their 3-dimensionality. So this could be represented by a sphere, and you can see how with these ellipses, I am creating 3-dimensionality. And so you can see which way the head is turned based on how I create those ellipses. And so the structure is really important if you want to start getting into realism. Thinking about how these boxes or these spheres are turning in space. That's really helpful. And then the last thing that we want to talk about is value. And value is the darkness or the lightness of your mark making. So the darker values will help build contrast in your piece. And what's important about contrast is just that it focuses the viewer's attention. So the areas of the darkest contrast, so the white of the page and the darkest dark in your image that you've created, will always be where the viewer's attention goes. And this is where I would start. I would teach any beginner who's never drawn the human form with this exact principle. Let's start with the gesture. Would start adding form and structure, and then begin to tone and add value into this, basically a skeleton is what we have here. And then you can always go deeper, and you can start to study anatomy and form and shadow and rendering, and basically bring this even more to life. But I hope that this helps you get started on your journey.